Renee, I'll start with you. Is that inbounds or out of bounds?
I think it was out of bounds. I think it was out of bounds for Marbury to say something like that. Now, granted, I believe that LeBron James has to win a chip in order to be, in the pantheon of Laker lore and all of that other stuff. Because when we talk about the great Lakers, as I have said on many, many occasions, with the exception of Elgin Baylor, who retired, I think, like 9 or 10 games into the 72 season when they won the chip, okay, there is no great Laker that has ever failed to win the chip. I'm talking about back to the days of George Mikan, to Wilt Chamberlain, to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic, Worthy, Kobe, Shaq, and every single marquee Laker.
Keep going.
Has won. That's right.
Jerry West.
Jerry West. How can I forget Jerry? No, my point is, every single great Laker has a chip to go along with their name. So if Marbury had said that, I got no issues. But to sit up there and to go at LeBron like that, for what? Why are you doing that? You know how, listen, I covered Stephon Marbury when Marbury was a star at Lincoln High School in Brooklyn. I was a high school reporter for the New York Daily News. And it was actually one of my proudest times. You know why? Because everybody was sold on Felipe Lopez. And I was the one that was like dealing up, well, hold on, y'all. There's this dude at Lincoln High School. That Felipe Lopez is not on this brother's level. You go to your Georgia Tech for 1 year and then go to the NBA. Stephon Marbury was that dude, an elite player, and special. But the point is, and not really a bad guy, believe it or not, really not. It's just that sometimes he gets caught up in expressing himself about stuff he got no business expressing himself in that fashion. What have you done in your NBA career? You know how many destinations you've been to? I'm just looking at your resume here. What is it? What is it? 11, 14, 15 seasons. New York, Phoenix, New Jersey, Minnesota, Boston.
China.
And China. Big in China.
Yeah.
But ain't want a damn thing.
But right or wrong, for context, just so you know, this wasn't specifically about LeBron. It was more focused on Kobe, because he was also frustrated with people showing fake love to Kobe. People that hated Kobe had beef, and I think that's important when I set up this topic. That's part of the conversation.
Because I know a few people who feel that way. They didn't even know Kobe. So how you know the love is fake? See what I'm saying? It could be. But we don't know. So if we don't know, let the brother rest in peace. And if they got to live with themselves, but you don't know.
First of all,
go ahead.
I don't think it was out of bounds. Right. And what Molly just brought up is something I want to touch on. I think what Steph is reacting to, and I felt it too. I dealt with Kobe some, and I was strangely affected by it because he's not my family. We weren't friends, but I dealt with him some, and I was affected by it as though it was someone in my family. Yeah. So I did a lot of thinking about that, like, wow, why is this the case? And then when you watch TV and read the paper or go online, whatever, listen to the radio, sometimes you get the feeling like when the tragedy like that happens, it's a virtue signaling contest. Who could be the saddest, right? And I didn't want to make it like that. I felt like, look, my day goes on, and then I'm shaken out of it like, oh, Kobe. Damn. But I'm not going to act like the earth stopped spinning, right? And so I think Marbury is kind of feeling like that. That's the first thing, okay? Now, for him to bring up LeBron, saying, hey, I think Marbury's touching on the idea that he feels that that Kobe's passing has been commercialized a touch. And I think he resents that. In terms of Marbury being a good guy, this is a dude who makes $15 sneakers, costs the same to make the expensive ones that cost to make his, and gives them away to school kids. Like, Marbury's a very good guy in certain respects. So I think in this day and age, you just speak your mind, and if it's unpleasant to some, now finally, Matt, before I kick it to you, real quick, is LeBron a true Laker? The fact of the matter is he is trying to be. My hat is off to him. He's giving his all to that franchise. If you're a superstar player, you want to be a true Laker, and you got traded there or you signed there, you must win a chip. Marbury's not wrong about that.
He's not wrong from a standpoint of he has to win to be considered one of the greats, but I think it was definitely a low blow for no reason. To me, there's no reason. But then on the same point of view, I understand, not to say that LeBron had this kind of fake love with Kobe, because they obviously had a relationship, but I did see, knowing Kobe, he was one of the superstars that wasn't necessarily always overwhelmingly loved by everyone.
Right.
And obviously, when he passed, he was. So I understand what he's saying with the fake love. But as far as just taking a shot at LeBron, I just thought it was a cheap shot. It was unnecessary. Whether guys have to speak on it or do it, you want to just honor Kobe because he was such a great guy. So he's the man with number 23 playing for the Lakers now. So he feels it's his responsibility to kind of take on that burden. So I understand it. But to take a shot at him saying he's not even a true Laker, I think that was uncalled for.
Kobe was a great dude, by the way. He was a great dude.
You know what? Absolutely. And the thing about it is this, again, I've known Kobe for over 20 years, okay? And I'm a media member, and I can assure you that I didn't have the relationship with him that some of those players had. Right. But the kind of conversations that we had, the kind of things that we talked to, I can assure you most people in the media didn't have that kind of relationship with him. And I'm here to tell you something right now. I would never presume that somebody didn't have that relationship or didn't have that love for him. Because Kobe wasn't the kind of person that advertised his relationships with different people. Right. Kobe's relationship with you, he didn't go around talking about it. Kobe, you know what? We see guys, a Brian Shaw on TV, a Derek Fisher on TV. You have any idea? I mean, you got James Worthy. You got so many different kind of people. Kobe had a lot of love for a lot of different guys. He didn't talk about it, so we don't know. If Marbury had said there's a lot of fake love, I got it. But to sit up there and to say LeBron and then have that conversation, you don't know that.
Well, there's another element to this.
You don't know that.
There's another element to this also, and it goes through the Lakers, but you can take it outside the Lakers too. The way Jordan was upset at the memorial, because in a sense he was the big brother, passed it to the little brother, even though their styles aren't exactly the same and all that, and there was overlap. Kobe was the best player in the league, and he was a generational talent, and then LeBron was. So in a way, the league torch got passed one to the other, and so Kobe does have special significance to LeBron. And obviously, Kobe can't be there at some, hopefully not a memorial, right, but at some ceremony honoring LeBron, weeping for LeBron. That can never happen. And he doesn't exactly, he's not 24 or 25 to Kobe's 24, the way Kobe was 24 to Jordan's 23, but still there's that connection.
Right. I mean, I think one thing, to touch on what Stephen A. said, I think one thing I've enjoyed is hearing all these post, obviously, tragedy, but stories that everyone's sharing about Kobe. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it wasn't something he publicized all the time, but he's touched people's lives in a way that people will always remember. Mine in particular, I've spoke on it plenty on this show and all the other shows, but I've enjoyed sitting back and hearing people's stories and intimate details about their relationship because he was someone who touched so many different people's lives.
And
you know what?
God, that's exactly right.
He did. He absolutely touched a lot of people. But again, I regurgitate this point. Like when Michael Jordan was crying at the funeral. I knew, obviously, you knew that Kobe had a connection to MJ and vice versa. We didn't know how much.
Right. We got to go. I was just going to say before Stephen A. jumped in, I love the video that you posted. I think it's on ESPN or SportsCenter's Instagram account right now, where your sons, your twin sons, surprised him and just their faces. Yes, it was priceless. Special moment. All right, thanks, Matt. You'll be back with us.
Should vote yes, because if they vote no, the biggest mistake that I've seen since I've been dealing with the NFL.
Ooh, Keyshawn back with us. That was him earlier on Get Up, bringing the heat on the CBA, saying players better not vote down the CBA. Our Dan Graziano says the players will not be able to change their vote. NFL player representatives extended the deadline and consider the vote on the proposal to 11:59 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Key, strong statement. Talk to us. Why would it be a mistake?
Well, because you start off by saying there's a lot of money at stake, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's not so much about the guys at the top. It's about the guys at the bottom. Guys that are going to be in this league 3 years, maybe 4, that's making $600,000-$700,000. It's about those guys. It's about those extra benefits. It's about the practice squad guys. Because the big money guys, they're good. You don't have to worry about that. And you add in the retired players. The practice squad guys, they get the benefit of now being able to participate in 401ks, different medical benefits, all the sort of things that's not being talked about. Yeah, practice is cool to not have to practice extra in the off season. Yeah, that's good, but it's not about that. Yeah. And I think when you got a deal and you believe in D. Smith and his group telling you that this is a good deal, it's not going to get any better, you have to believe that. He's your leader. He's not trying to sell you short. He's trying to make sure that it gets done now. Because if it doesn't get done, right, and you don't sign, and all of a sudden this coronavirus thing keeps happening and taking a life of its own, and then all of a sudden, it affects the league. It affects those dollars. It affects the 2021 TV renegotiation. Do you think them owners are going to sit back and say, okay, well, we still going to give them this type of money? No, they're not. Not at all. One thing about billionaires is they're not trying to give it away. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to give it away at all.
Let me say this. First of all, I'm not taking a position as to whether they should or should not sign because I'm not a player and I don't know what you know. Let me give you the information that's been given to me and then let y'all know what's been said before I said anything else. 17 games, $5 billion over 10 years. Minimum salaries will increase 17.6%.
Yep.
Practices will be limited during the offseason and training camp. Players will receive 48.5% in the deal. Also, not just one bye week, 2 bye weeks, plus less practices, plus less contact, plus less off-season commitments.
Yes.
And that minimum players will be taken care of and retired players will be taken care of. That's what I've been told. Based on that, here's what I would say to the players. You ready to strike? Are you ready to hold up? Because see, what we got to stop doing is pacifying some of these young dudes who want to stick out their chest, getting on video, talk about, I got you. Don't worry about it. We ain't going to let y'all down. We going to stand up for y'all. You sure about that? There's 1,696 players on opening day. Yeah. Okay? In the NFL, when we talk about dudes getting paid real money, I'm talking about the kind of money where you could afford to miss an entire season or 2 seasons. You could have come up with 200 players that could afford to do that. One would argue. So what I'm saying to you is this. We're talking about anywhere from 13 to 1,500 players.
Absolutely.
That's going to need that money. Are you ready? I'm not taking a position because I lead the players.
I get it. I understand.
But to the players out there, I'm asking a simple question. Are you ready to skip the season? Because here's what I have been told. If the players don't take this deal, it ain't getting any better.
No.
The coronavirus, that's one thing.
Yep.
Also, television contracts coming up, et cetera, et cetera. The owner's attitude is, we giving up more than we want to right now. It will not get better if you don't take this deal. That's all I've been told.
And if you go back to like I think it was 87 when the last strike happened, people like Joe Montana crossed the picket line because his mama's sitting at home saying, we missing checks.
And the ratings went down about 15%.
So, at the end of the day, I understand that the Aaron Rodgers of the world and the J.J. Watts and some of the bigger players, but when you start missing them checks as big players, you're going to start to think different.
Here's the thing. The NFL operates a de facto monopoly. There's no other real game in town that's paying the money. So because of that, they have enormous leverage.
Isn't that all of them know?
Dealing
NBA,
with the players.
Baseball,
all the major leagues, But at least in basketball, you can go make millions of dollars overseas if you really are willing to do that.
Well, you can go to the XFL now. There are
there's no money in the NFL.
And the CFL.
But the point is this. There's no money. We're talking about where the big money is. So if you're one of the best in the world, you worked your whole life for it, that's who's going to pay you. Mm-hmm. They have an enormous advantage in negotiations, so they've capped labor costs. Everyone wants to control labor costs, and they've done it. 48.4. Why should there be any cap on what percentage the players make? They should be able to make whatever people are willing to pay them, but they've artificially capped it. Jerry Jones helped lead that charge, 25 years ago. That's one advantage they have. Here's the other advantage. They can always divide and conquer the labor union because NFL players are a diverse group, especially economically. Key, you pointed it out. The average career is only about 3 years. Yeah. Those guys are not making big money. It sounds big to the working man, but that's their lottery ticket that they've worked their whole life for, by the way. And that's it. That's the money they're going to see above and beyond what working people see. 3 years of money. If you address them, the rank and file, they have by far more votes than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So the upper echelon players who are like, but wait a minute, why are we capped at all and can get into the more kind of nuanced business of the negotiation are going to be outmatched. So I'm not saying you're wrong, don't take the deal. They probably should take the deal. But I understand the position of star players saying, They have a monopoly and they can divide and conquer.
I understand it. I understand the deal. I've been following the whole thing. I get it. But I also understand that guy that makes $2 million gross over the next 3 years that is going to be out of the league in August of 2022.
Better protect that 800 G's you're netting out.
That's all I'm saying. So in order to be able to do that, this is an opportunity for you to do it, along with those benefits.
That's why they're going to wind up passing the deal.
Let me say something somewhat controversial. I know what a great businessman you are, not just a football analyst. And I know how smart you are. And not only that, you were talking to me about your concerns, Max, if I recall correctly, about the economy. Because while everybody's out there raving about the economy, you were like, hold your horses here. That ain't so great. What do owners care about? They care about now. They care about the economy. I think they care about the economy more. I wouldn't say I think. Let me rephrase that. I've been told by folks in the NFL, the virus is something that they're concerned about, but they're also concerned about the economy. Also, they're concerned about, what if there's a different administration in the White House a year from now? How do we anticipate the economy will be affected by that? They take all of these things into consideration and make the point, you better take this deal now, because it ain't going to get any better. I think the NFL players, I'm not saying this, I do think it's important that the NFL players out there hear that, because that way you make the decision understanding the risk that you take.
They need to get all the information. There's no question about it. At the end of the day, could you get a little bit more out of it? If you're willing to take the risk, maybe you can. Maybe you can. But if you go into 2021 and there's a stoppage, I understand the NFLPA has put some money away over the last several years, but they ain't put that much money away.
They ain't put that much money away.